All right, welcome back to Rapid Regeneration. I'm Davis Green. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not making medical claims or claims about diseases. Um, I'm here with Seth Bailin, and you know Seth from being the expert on fruit selection and fruit gathering resources from the Fruit Companion. And but Seth also has had experiences that I know could benefit the listener, the person who's out there trying to figure out how can I improve my health, how can I have better health and solve my health problems. Seth is somebody who is sitting right where you are and has been there and has figured some of this stuff out. And I want to ask him about that. Um, Seth, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Dave. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, Seth and I met at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and I think we shared something in common, which was we've it hasn't been easy. You would think, oh, here's a couple guys, in their 30s, and at that point you should be able to um, you know, be relatively healthy. In fact, you should even be able to still be leading an unhealthy lifestyle, eating junk food, and still have, your energy and all that stuff before it catches up to you. However, for some people, you get inundated early in life and you experience health issues. So, um, Seth, please, can you talk to us about what did you, people look at you now and they think, oh, Seth is so healthy and energetic and he's got his stuff together. But what did you have to go through to get to this point?
Thank you. Went through a lot, man. Um, I came out into the world sick. You know what I mean? My mom tells the story. I don't remember it obviously, but the day I was born, I was a little green. I was a little sick. I couldn't breathe right. So right off the bat, I was facing pneumonia-like conditions and asthma, and I pretty much had asthma like right away. We discovered I had
Wow.
nut allergies early on, and then allergies to cats and dust, and these health issues kept piling up. I had skin issues. I went to dermatologist after dermatologist. Nobody knew what was going on, or they just wanted to prescribe pills. Same with the asthma, they just wanted to prescribe inhalers. And so my whole life I was kind of health conscious. Having allergies, I had to read all the ingredients of the food packages I was eating, which I think is a blessing because it allowed me to have awareness about my food at a young age.
Okay.
So, yeah. So,
How
whereas,
young was this? How when you were reading the back of labels, how young were you?
well, I was 4 years old when we discovered I had a allergy to walnuts, and then I got tested, and they said, "Oh yeah, you're allergic to all nuts. Stay away from all nuts, pine nuts, almonds, peanuts, treat everything." And so as soon as I could read, I mean, you start reading at what, 5 years old, something like that. I don't remember. But I was just trained. Like, if you're going to eat it, you read that ingredient list and make sure there's no nuts in there. And so I got good at reading ingredients. I started seeing things like, what is mixed tocopherols? What is potassium sorbate? What is polysorbate 80? What is red 40? What is all this stuff? Once you start looking it up, you start looking at some of the health effects, you go, oh, this is weird. Why are we putting this in our food? Why are we putting whatever, citric acid, like all this stuff? So, yeah, it was my whole life. I was just aware of what I was eating. But it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I got into my current lifestyle of eating, which is based around fruit. Um, but yeah, I guess I do want to say, when I was living and working as a musician full time in New Orleans, this is about 5, 6 years ago, I remember saying to my girlfriend at the time, I said, if this music thing doesn't work out, I think I'd like to be a health coach or nutritionist. But I was still unaware of what I'm aware of today. I just knew that I had a passion for trying to be healthy, had a passion for awareness about what we eat. I wanted to help others. I've always been a teacher of music. So it kind of felt natural to me to try to help others and raise awareness when it comes to food. And right after I said that, maybe not right after, but that same year, I started getting worse health issues. And then 2020 happened, and that's when the whole world freaked out over a health, quote unquote, pandemic. But I was seeing that no one was talking about stress levels, sleep, diet, nutrition. Everyone was focused on this medical intervention. Well, these two main medical interventions, covering your face and an injection, which it just didn't seem holistic to me. You know what I mean? It was like,
The eating got worse during that time. Everyone started eating way worse at home all the time.
yeah, and they're bribing you with donuts to come get these interventions, and the only businesses that were allowed to stay open were fast food restaurants, and none of it made sense. So that was like a huge turning point in my life where I really dove into what causes health, what causes disease, and I think that's where a huge awakening came into and spurred this path that I'm on now. I'm still learning, still uncovering, still trying things, and I don't know everything. I would love to one day, but yeah, that was a huge turning point, 2020.
Wow. This is a great. So the first great lesson I think out of this is to um to have the to ask for the information that you want to know, and or put it out there to say, I want to know this, I want to understand this, before you even know how to do it, because you did that, and you had this thing that turned on in yourself that said, I want to understand this. So for the listener out there, I think that's probably one of the first steps, right? Is before you figure out how to solve your problems, and where to find the information, to make that decision, right? Of, I'm going to figure this out. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, it's basic manifestations to sort of like think about what you want in life. Just imagine, okay, in the best case scenario, I'm not worrying about this, this, and this. What am I doing with my day that makes me happy? And for me, that was like, oh yeah, connecting with others, sharing information, striving to be healthier. Like those things I knew I wanted. And yeah, I expressed that, felt it in my being, and things just started to happen.
Now talk to us about these symptoms. It was a pneumonia-like symptoms, allergies. Was it asthma as well?
Yeah, I had chronic asthma. That was probably my biggest issue through my whole life, was the chronic asthma.
And you took inhalers over the
Yeah.
years?
Oh yeah. I always had an inhaler in my pocket. It was more important than my wallet. I swear. My inhaler in my right pocket, that thing was touching my leg every single day for decades. And I used it every single day. Yeah, I didn't carry it around as a fashion statement. I mean, I needed this thing. It was a rescue inhaler. I'd feel so tight and I would need to just calm down for a few seconds. And that was almost every single day. There were weeks, maybe even months, where I didn't need it. If I was like, I worked at summer camps a lot, being like outdoors and active. And if I'm like getting sun, like burning enough calories and like being active and happy, and I'm not thinking about food all day, then I seem to not need my inhalers for like weeks or months at a time. But then it would come back, and then boom, every day. And then when the season shifted into winter, I would just be a laid out asthmatic mess, and I would get sick and all this stuff. Oh yeah, and chronic colds was another thing.
Okay.
Chronic colds, man. I would get sick every winter, and sometimes it would last for like over a month, where I would just have like congestion for a month. Like the main coughing and fever stuff would go away within a couple of days, but I'd be congested like for another month or even 6 weeks. I remember being like, dude, it's 6 weeks of this. What is wrong, you know?
You
And I
were
just
just
didn't know it.
you were just a sick baby, and then a sick kid, and then a sick grown man. So where are you at now? What's the state of these symptoms? The asthma, the constant sickness, the allergies, the pneumonia like thing. So where are you at now?
Man, I have not used or touched my inhaler in 3 years. So asthma is just out of here.
Wow.
Now, I will experience asthmatic symptoms if I go real hard, if I fall off my goals and my practices, and I just go in for the bread and the hummus, and I'm overeating, and if I don't sleep that great, I can wake up, or even after I'm done eating, and be like, a little bit of breathing issues. So, I
Wow.
wouldn't say I completely cured it, but eating a certain way keeps me under the threshold where I literally don't care about my inhaler. It doesn't
You're
exist. I
off
don't have one.
you're off the steroids. The
Oh
inhale.
yeah,
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 completely. Three
completely
years.
off. 3 years, just goodbye. That's
Wow.
and it. You know what? When that first time I experienced my asthma go away was during a 3 day juice cleanse. I just saw some people on Instagram do solid food vacation, rest the guts. I was like, I'll try that. So I just went hard on the orange juice, watermelon juice, water, green juice for 3 days. And it was that third day where I was like, breathing so good. And I didn't need my inhaler. And I was like, huh, I feel so light. I feel so free. What is this? Oh, it turns out if you eat a food that's really hard to digest, your body has to work so hard to break that down that it can't function properly. And, so depending on where your weakness is, everyone's different. Everyone's body has a different proclivity toward a symptom expressing a certain way.
Hmm.
Mine happened to be in my lungs. It's like a big weakness, I guess, where yeah, it stays strong and out of sight, out of mind if I'm just eating raw living foods, sleeping, keeping all the holistic stuff in check.
Hmm.
And
So
for me, I do want to add,
yeah.
it's not challenging for me to not eat animal products. Like when I went vegan, it was like the best decision I ever made. I'm so happy about it. A lot of people think, oh, you must be torturing yourself. You're restricting yourself to only fruit. And it's like, well, first of all, I'm not restricting myself to only fruit because I eat pretty much whatever I want. But I just don't want
You eat an
eggs.
abundance of
I
fruit, but then you eat other stuff too.
Yes, exactly. But it's like it's not that I crave eggs or cheese or meat because I really don't.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
yeah. So, but once you need some transitioning time. You need time to get through
Yeah.
that.
You know what? I'll add something to this. Well, I had the same experience, but in opposite. In other words, I never decided to go vegan at all. I was just eating more and more raw foods, and eventually, after about 6 months, or maybe in 6 to 9 months, my desires for animal products completely went away to the point where it was not appealing at all to see these foods, and I lost all desire to eat it, happen completely organically. You know,
Nice.
so but yeah, people think it's going to be torture, um, but your cravings totally change. Is up in your experience?
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if this is TMI, and I've never said this to anyone
Please,
before.
please, breaking on right here on Rap Regeneration.
When I naturally, well, when I stopped eating meat, I stopped craving other destructive non-food carnal desires such as pornography. And so
Wow.
that I didn't even consciously try to stop watching porn. It just happened. Once I got the death out of my body and I flooded it with light, um, I literally didn't feel the need to watch
Hmm.
porn, and I don't anymore. And so, like, um,
Wow.
yeah. So that was one cool thing I noticed where it was like a unintended effect, byproduct of this change that makes a lot of sense when you think about it. I mean, I just think about the word carnal, carnitas, carne.
Right.
It means body. Like it's when you're eating bodies, you're kind of trapped in your body, and you have these low energy base carnal desires for the body, and you want to stimulate the body through sex, through food, through salt, which is a huge drug. I didn't know that until recently. Salt is one of the biggest drugs in the world. Um, and yeah, the carnal desires sort of fade away
Hmm.
when you get the corpses. In my experience,
And so in your interrelations, are you are also less promiscuous, or do you look at things with more deeper in terms of relationships with the opposite sex as
yeah,
well?
1,000%, man. When I was eating everything, I was trying to hook up with everybody and stuff. And I don't know if this is a natural shift because I'm in my 30s now and I'm just getting older, but I don't want to exchange energy with anyone if it's not going to lead to something long term, sexually speaking, or like intimately speaking. I
Right.
love exchanging energy conversation wise, but when it comes to sex or like dating somebody, that's a lot of energy. And you just got to be really careful about how these webs can connect with people, and you got to make sure it's the right person and you're really on board with the same things. And yes, I found my communication improving. I found I kind of stopped lying to myself in a way, and just have such a desire to live more in line with nature, however that may manifest, whether it's through friendships and communication or through what I eat. Um, yeah, I think I'm seeking like a more of a long-term monogamous relationship, and I'm not going to be hooking up until that happens. I'm basically just chilling
Wow.
till I find that. You know what I mean?
It's crazy. It's a level of maturation that you're showing. And one thing is the personal growth. I mean, you didn't necessarily um, know you were going to get all this personal growth when you started to, but but you do. And so talk to us about, so what was the strategy that you used which ended up eliminating these issues? And you've talked about fruit, you talked about raw foods, but what was your strategy, and kind of how did you get there?
Right. So the strategy it came after a long period of information gathering. I wasn't able to strategize. I had no idea what I should do until I read a bunch of natural hygiene literature. And I think we're going to talk about that at some point.
Yes, natural. Seth knows more than anyone that I know about natural hygiene, and so check out. We're going to do another segment where we share with you, his findings on natural hygiene. Um, but sorry to interrupt there.
Yeah. So once I took in a ton of information, then I was able to formulate a plan. So I think that's like the huge first step, is to just inform, educate yourself, watch documentaries, read books, join groups online. Facebook has a lot of great groups. Like, you can make fun of Facebook all you want, but the amount of groups that I'm involved in where we're sharing ideas, whether it's gardeners of South Florida, or it's raw living, or it's the fruitarian group, or you can join a group about anything, how to build wooden pagodas. Like, I love that app for that purpose. So anyways, I learned a lot from these groups, and I basically learned the fundamentals of natural hygiene, which are: consume less, stop burdening the body. Consumption is generally what can lead to a lot of these symptoms. And so if we just pull that back, Dave, I started seeing my body. You're a musician, so I'm going to bring this up because you'll understand this, but I think most people will. My body as an audio mixer, like a big console. We've
Hmm.
all been to a concert and seen a big audio console with all the knobs and faders. And I'm starting to see my body like that. Whereas every input is a fader. Every input comes in on a new channel, and I have the power to dial them up, dial them down. You know, one fader will be like proper sleep, So, or maybe it's lack of sleep, because the amount of volume that we're pushing into the system is the amount of burden that we're carrying, the amount of voltage that we're producing, like the little meter at the right side of the console that lights up green, and then when it clips and distorts, it goes red.
Right. Okay.
That's where symptoms come in. For me, I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm pushing all this volume up until the master bus starts to clip. And that's where my asthma attacks come from. That's where the skin breakouts come from. That's where, in my opinion, a lot of symptoms start to rear their head, is when we burden the body with so much volume. And then now it's our job to start pulling things back. So I'm not going to give anyone like a specific protocol of like, you got to eat this and you got to stop eating that. You got to get this much sleep, because everyone's different. You might be getting
Right.
great sleep already, and you might have a job that's super stressful. I know it from
Hmm.
experience that sometimes quitting a terrible job or a job with the wrong environment will do wonders for your mental health, which then does wonders for your physical health, because everything's connected. So everything's a fader, and there's so many inputs in our life, whether it's the amount of light we're receiving. If we're always staring at that computer and our brain doesn't have a chance to just calm down, right? That channel is going to be super high in volume. And so, can you pull that back, right? Can you pull back the amount of grease and salt that we're eating? Dial that back. Can we pull back the amount that we're disconnecting from nature by going for a walk barefoot, or getting into the mountains, breathing fresh forest air?
Hmm.
There's so many ways, since life is holistic, the body is holistic. There's so many ways that we can improve things, and you have to design your own protocol based on, or your own process based on, what you're dealing with.
But
For me,
you started to take notice of these different inputs in your own life at the time.
yes, and I noticed that a huge one is food. It is only one input, but it's massive. Like if you just change this one thing, it can be a game changer. So yeah, what I did, I was just like, I came into the information of, well, paying people to murder animals that I can eat their bodies, it's unethical, it's unnatural. I'm no longer convinced that it's necessary. So once those things clicked, I was like, all right, well, that's gone. And then it was like, well, what am I going to replace it with? And then I came into the information about fruit. Oh, it's electrically charged. It's full of water. It's full of carbs. It's full of da 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 da. And then when you read all the testimonials of people saying, oh yeah, I switched that for that, and my obesity is gone, my heart disease is gone, my endometriosis is gone, my asthma is gone, my skin issues are gone, my lupus, my nerve damage, like anything you can imagine. I love these Facebook groups when someone goes, hey, what have you reversed through this lifestyle? And then everyone shares their testimonials. It's mind blowing, dude. It makes me want to cry.
And then
So,
they're still skeptical. They're like, I don't know. I
well,
don't know.
because you have to experience it yourself. It's the only way we're going to know. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, I see they did it. I'm reading this, I'm reading that. I got to try it. I tried the juice thing. I went and bought a bunch of fruits, and I just felt the difference. So switching out, step one was breakfast. I
Okay.
used, even when I went vegetarian, I would still have eggs and cheese, olive oil, salt, potatoes, bread, and I just switched that out for oranges, apples and oranges,
Okay. Just fruit for breakfast?
apples and bananas. Dude, and I remember in college one time showing my friend, this is before I discovered any of this stuff. I wrote myself a meal plan. And I showed my friend, I said, hey, what do you think about meal plan? She goes, grapefruit and oranges for breakfast, that's not enough protein. And I was like, oh, you're probably right, da 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 da. And I got convinced and did not add that to my breakfast, my meal plan back. This was maybe almost 10 years ago. And I let someone else almost decide for me. That was a mistake because
Hmm.
I think I was on the right tip. Because once I actually dove in and did the oranges and grapefruit for breakfast, I realized, oh my God, I have all this energy. You know, I'm not dealing with this health issue. I feel incredible. Like it just makes so much sense. This is the food that grows out of the ground. You don't have to kill a plant to harvest it. You don't have to kill an animal to harvest it. It contains the seed. It's the 3D printing machine. Like this seems to be the food that nature wants us to eat.
So when you say you have to feel the difference, did that happen for you pretty immediately when you started having fruit for breakfast? You started to feel the difference?
It happened day 3 of that first juice cleanse I did.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and that was enough for me to go, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to go vegan and high fruit. And so shortly after that 3-day juice cleanse, I went, cut out the fatty, salty cooked breakfasts for fruit only. And
Wow.
Dave, since then, that was 3.5 years ago, I have eaten fruit for breakfast every single time, except maybe with the exception of like 5 to 10 days in the last 3.5 years. It's been fruit for breakfast every day.
Wow.
And loving it, man. Completely loving it. So good.
Um, Amazing. I also think you're a great example of someone who you are thriving and flourishing, but you do eat some cooked food, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of I see a lot of people, and they're so strict and say you can't eat cooked food, and you have to be raw vegan, or you have to be this or that, but really it is everyone is in a different place. And so talk to us about that. How do you incorporate cooked foods, and what do you kind of look for in foods, if it's cooked or processed versus whole, and how do you approach that?
Yeah. So good question. I mentioned Edmund Bordeaux Kelly's book, Cosmotherapy of the Scenes. Um, I was reading one of his other books, and he mentioned that food can either be bioactive, like living, like fruit, biotoxic, if it creates like harmful compounds, like the digestion of meat, for example, creates phosphoric acid,
Right. Uric
hydrochloric
acid.
acid, uric
Mhm.
acid. So that would be like a biotoxic food. But there's this group of foods in the middle he calls biostatic. And it doesn't create a heavy toxic burden, but it's not completely full of biophotons either. So for me, like a cooked potato is an example of a biostatic food where it's not going to actively poison you, right? But it's not fully living and imbued with the same life force that a watermelon would have.
Hmm.
So I was thinking about, okay, cool, biostatic. Maybe I can keep those in my diet. Well, Dave, especially because I consider myself still transitioning.
Okay.
I would love to one day not eat cooked food. It seems simpler. It seems more delicious. It seems easy. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I see so many people thriving on it, but maybe I'm not ready for that in this moment because 4 years ago I was wolfing down, fried shrimp sandwiches, and that was only 4 years
Oh, that
ago.
New Orleans food too is
Whew.
is serious, right?
It's crazy, man. Yeah, don't even get me started on that food. But what was I saying? So I
Yeah.
think I'm still transitioning. I'm still
Okay.
actually allowing myself. I do crave hot, warm, cooked, dense food like that. So I love cooking potatoes.
Hmm.
What else? I like steaming vegetables, whether it's brassicas like cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage. Like steamed cabbage is so good. It's sweet naturally. You don't have to season it. So for me right now, I'm prioritizing a salt-free diet over a raw diet because I see a lot of raw eaters eating salt.
Mm.
And for me, that's like, I don't understand why a cooked potato would be more harmful than salt. They could say, oh, it's gluey, oh, it digests slower, but I don't really notice that. To me, salt, I notice some pretty adverse effects.
Okay. Well, so talk to us about salt. Because what's your point of view about salt consumption?
Yeah, so again, people know best through experience. So if you think salt is
Yes.
really good for you,
Right.
can you drink in a cup of seawater? Like a 1 pint or half a pint. Drink this much seawater.
Mm.
Can you do it? Can you do it without puking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Right.
like, so, okay, so salt in a certain quantity is revolting to us. But why is salt at a very minuscule pinch quantity? Why does that make food taste better? Well, because it's food that wouldn't normally taste good without it.
Mm.
Salt is required to make unpalatable food palatable, right?
Okay.
When a fruit is perfectly ripe, you're going to bite into it, and the last thing you're going to think of is, oh, could use some salt.
Right.
So I think salt is great for preserving things. It's a great pickling agent. It's great for making unpalatable food palatable. But why should we do that if fruit is naturally palatable? That's the food that grows in abundance. Everything about it matches with the human experience and the human need. It's symbiotic the way the fruit and humans live because we can disperse the seed and we can actually grow their species elsewhere. Um, and we're not taking anything from the tree necessarily. Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Um, okay. So going back to let's talk to the listener for a second. So if they're at the point where now they have the first step of okay, fruit for breakfast, you figure out the dials in your life, the inputs, you figure out what needs to dial down. Um, After that, what was the next step after that? And you were doing that and you were having fruit for breakfast. Is there a next level after that?
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm really into exercise. I love getting outside and doing calisthenics.
You
um,
look fit.
Thank you. Thank you. And for anyone who is looking and or watching and thinking, oh, Seth, he's too pale and too skinny. It's like, first of all, I've always looked like this. I have my body type hardly can change.
You're always a
Um,
skinny kid.
Always skinny, always, I looked exactly like this. So when people go, oh, you look so good, it must be the fruit.
Except
I'm like,
your skin used to be more green.
especially when I came out of the womb. Yeah. Um, no, when they tell me, oh, it must be the fruit, I say, I'm sorry to break it to you, but I've always looked like this. Like I haven't changed. I look the same when I was eating standard American diet, with the exception of when I would get skin issues and just weird skin outbreaks and stuff. So yeah, I'm a skinny guy, but I like exercising. I think that's kind of vital to living a healthy life. It's vital to get your lymphatic system flowing. We know that it requires muscular attention to sort of pump the lymph through our lymph vessels. And the lymph is the sewer system of our body. So, in order to detox properly, we just want to engage our body, use it fully. Um, and then one other thing, Dave, I will say is the fasting. I think
Mm.
I think for a lot of conditions that are if you have an audio mixer that's just clipping pin red 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 in the red, just
Yep.
distorting and clipping, and you have symptoms, you may have a system that's overburdened. So the water fast, the gentle, well-timed water fast can be huge, because what you're doing is you're taking all those faders and pulling them down, especially the food one. But usually when you're fasting, it's accompanied with resting, and right, and you're even fasting from screens and from work sometimes. If you can take like a total fast,
Mm.
you're pulling all the faders down, pretty instantly you're going to notice that red, ooh, go to yellow, go to green. And within 2 days, people with tremendous back pain will report, oh, pain went from an 8 to a 2. It never does that. Well, because you didn't eat for 2 days. And now your gut is shrinking. Now there's less inflammation in the body. There's less pressure on your spine, right? Your body can actually put it back into place and align it. People experience nerve regeneration through
Human
water.
growth hormone after human growth hormone starts to be produced after um
Yeah.
what so
Yeah, HGH.
how long have you how long have you gone on a fast, a water fast?
So I did a lot of 1 day water fasts. Like
Uh-huh.
I tried the 36-hour one. I did that a few times, like every few weeks. I kind of wanted to try it. And then I did a 3 day water fast. And then I went straight to the 21 day.
Wow, you did a 21 day.
Yeah. So almost, yeah. Oh, wait. Whoa. A year ago. No, I'm sorry. 2 years ago, tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
September 3rd, I flew to Costa Rica to begin the fast. So yeah, it was exactly 2 years ago. I started a 21-day water fast in Costa Rica.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Amazing, amazing. So going back to the
Wait, I'm sorry. Can I interrupt real quick and
yeah,
just
please.
put a little caveat on that?
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that anybody does that. I think that was
Yes,
kind of extreme,
we're
to be
not
honest with you.
yeah, and we're not making claims, or we're not medical professionals or making medical claims or anything, but we're sharing our experiences. I've done a 5 day water fast. Uh,
Hmm.
I know the power of water fasting. I know that people, you have to be careful, and so I think that's where you were going with this.
Well, yeah, I don't want anyone to hear this and think, oh, I need to do that now too,
Right.
because I don't think that. And in fact, I think that may have been a little too long, to be honest. For my, you know what I'm saying? I did 1 day, I did 3 day, I've done like a week juice. So, then I skipped straight to 3 weeks.
Hmm.
Why didn't I try a 7 day water fast? Why didn't I try a 14-day water fast? I went straight for the 21, it was a pretty extreme intervention for my body. I lost a decent amount of muscle. My body fat went from 8% to 5 within the first week, and then it just leveled at 5% body fat. It wouldn't go any lower. I mean, your body won't let you go any lower; you'll die. So it can be dangerous. But I do think fasting is the truth. I think we should just take baby steps toward it. If
Okay.
anyone's interested, just start with that 24-hour. Have like one meal 1 day type of thing. Let 24 hours go by with no consumption to see how that goes. And you can learn a lot from fasting, water fasting, because you'll learn how quickly you start craving things. And you'll learn, oh my God, I feel so crap. The crappier you feel on a fast, in my opinion, means the more you should probably be doing it,
Mm.
because our body's so burdened and so overloaded and has so much healing to do that it's very unpleasant feeling at first. So I just wanted to say,
Wow.
I'm not suggesting that anyone does that, especially 21, but I would just start reading about it, start getting used to the idea that yes, you can survive days and weeks without food.
And dip your toe in the water. Dip your toe in the water. Skip a meal. Skip a day. And
Yeah, and people will hear that and think that that is harmful misinformation, which is sad. You know, I've had family members be like,
Yeah.
you can't skip a meal. It's like, trust me, I'm gonna skip way more than just one.
I know. It's people are have gotten softer, I think, over the generations. You know, you used to be sent to bed with no dinner if you were misbehaving. And now, you would they would call child protective services if they did that, you know.
Yep.
But you can go without a meal. I mean, and it's probably good for you.
Yeah, if you just think about in nature, when are 3 square meals a day ever going to be just provided for you in nature? Unless you live in the Garden of Eden, unless you're living in the most fertile, abundant place in the world where you can just pick bananas and seasonal fruit all day. But that's generally not happening, and I think we can survive on much less than we're used to,
Um,
or thrive actually.
okay. Thank you for that, Seth, and thanks for your point of view on that. We're talking with Seth Bailin. Um, Seth is author of The Fruit Companion, which you can see our other episode about his resource about getting fresh, ripe fruits. Seth also has his own program, Radical Health Zine, that he does. He's talked about, finding books, finding documentaries, listen to resources that you can learn from. So that's another good one, Radical Health Zine. Um,
Thank you. I try to take a lot of information and synthesize it in my own language and deliver it in what I believe to be a simpler way. So, yeah, in Radical Health, I produce zines, which are like magazines or fanzines made after like punk fanzines of the 80s and 90s, is what I was used to. And what I liked was these handmade, self printed information pamphlets. And so I started making them about health and about fasting and about fruit eating. And now it's sort of the publishing company for my Fruit Companion book. And I also have a podcast called Radical Health where we discuss this stuff in long format, and we have interviews with people who've done awesome stuff. And yeah, thank you for shouting out
wow.
Radical Health.
Yes, Radical Health with Seth Bailin. Go back to a second where we were talking about exercise, because now let's say the listener is sold on this and they think, you know what, I really need this. I need all the benefits that this comes with. Um, they look at someone like Seth and they're thinking, okay, you're in a good routine right now and a good rhythm and good motivation, and you're going out there and getting exercise regularly. Talk to the person that's struggling to get there, or struggling to get the motor going and get into that routine. How can someone get into that exercise kind of rhythm and get started, and talk to that person?
Yes. So there's a number of things. It kind of depends on where you're at right now. A lot of times, what it takes is to lose a little bit of weight, and you can do that without even going to the gym. So if it's really hard to get cardio going, or you just feel so sluggish, you have extra weight, try changing the diet first. Try swapping out heavy foods for breakfast and increasing the fruits, and seeing if the weight doesn't go away if you have more energy naturally. You might find that, oh my God, I actually feel like getting active today. What am I going to do with all this energy? I just interviewed Grant Campbell, who I met at Woodstock this past year as well. And he said he got into ultra marathon, long distance running, like 100-mile races, because he had so much energy after going into raw veganism that he just started running.
Wow.
So step one, take a stock at how is your body? Can you stand to lose some weight? Well, you can do that naturally without even working too hard at the gym, just by stopping eating the foods that are so hard and slow to digest that they end up backing up and causing you to gain fat. So that's one thing. The other is I just watch a lot of YouTube of like cool, inspiring stuff and people. I really like Cali Move, like calisthenics. It's Cali Move. It's two German guys, and I learned a lot from them. I just kind of watched them to see how the form is done for proper pull-ups, proper squats. And I
This
would
is
say
stuff
just,
you can do this is stuff you can do from home.
yeah, just get on YouTube or Instagram, Cali Move. I mean, that's just one group of dudes who do calisthenics. There's so many of them, but I think they're Germans, and German culture is really into like precision and engineering, and like, so you'll see in these videos they're very well done. Their form is impeccable. And so I think for the person who's struggling to get started, I would just start doing very, very basic stuff. Like, don't even make it hard. Find a body weight squat form and just try to do perfect form. Squats up and down. Don't even add weight, because if your form's not there, you're probably going to end up hurting yourself or not doing it right, and causing an imbalance. So, yeah, what?
Oh,
And then the third thing I would say is
yeah.
just know your why. Like, okay, why do you want to be active? Just constantly remind yourself of that. Well, I want to feel good. I want to look good. Great, get at it. Like, what are you waiting for? But I do think it's a mistake. It's a very common understanding amongst people in this culture that you have to go to the gym to lose weight. And that's not true. Ask anyone who was overweight that switched out their animal products for fruit. The weight just starts shedding off.
Yes.
So,
Hmm.
and maybe that might be the boost you need just to start getting out there, start going for walks. But I would focus on like form, like walk before you can run, body weight before you add any weights. But the most important thing I think is to have fun. So what is a physical activity that you enjoy already? I love skateboarding and I love biking. Okay, cool. I'm just
I
gonna do
love
more of
biking
that.
too. Yeah.
I'm not gonna force myself to run if I don't like running, right? I'd much rather get on that bike, zoom through traffic and like get on these trails, and it's so fun to me. So find something that you enjoy. Do you enjoy rebounding on a trampoline? Get after it. Do you enjoy dancing? Just dance. Who needs to go to a gym? Why slog away at a gym if you're like, I don't want to do this? If you can just be dancing in your apartment, having a blast, if you love doing that, you're going to get some cardio. You're going to end up actually stretching and using your muscles in like practical ways.
Yes,
So
you'll move your lymph
yeah,
dancing.
yeah. So find things that are fun. Find things that are fun. Know your why. Check the diet. And I forget, there was one other thing I said, but yeah, those are the main things I think.
Wow. We're talking with Seth Bailin. Make sure to check out our other segments with Seth where we go into some tips and tricks on getting the best quality fruit with the Fruit Companion guide, and also where we're going to talk about the principles of natural hygiene, understanding the mechanics of how the body actually heals and solves itself. Seth is he's a humble guy. He says that he doesn't know everything, but Seth is a great example of somebody who has transformed their life. So we really appreciate you being with us, Seth. As we close here, I want to get your thoughts because you're a smart cookie. We're looking around the world. It's like we're at a crossroads, and there's a lot of stuff going on. And so, where do you see things going? Where do you see the world heading? What's the future of humanity? What should we all be? I know that's a big one, but give us your perspective, as we close out here, please.
Dude, thank you so much for letting me answer this question. It's one of my favorites because I have an unpopular opinion and belief about this. I believe humans are destined for paradise. I believe humans are inherently good. Even though there's all this war, there's a parasite class out there, human beings are inherently good. We're imbued with the golden rule, which is do no harm and take no shit. We know we know what's right and wrong objectively. In any situation, we can kind of parse out, oh, I shouldn't harm from this person. I shouldn't steal from this person. Shouldn't lie to this person. And I shouldn't do any of that to myself, right? For the most part, we can see that and it's obvious. So with that said, I think we're inherently good. I think we may be in a dark ages right now, but I think humanity's destined toward paradise. I mean, with this information, how can we not be? We're going to plant fruit trees. We're going to start eating more fruit. Factory farming is going to die off. Some people will hang on to it for dear life, especially the ones who stand to make money off of it. But, over time, the change is going to come. There's a paradigm shift happening, and it first happens here. So you can say, oh, the world is this way. I read the news and it's just chaos, destruction, war, and suffering wherever you look. But that's only what they're showing you, right? Are you traveling to these places and talking to the locals? Traveling is one of the best ways to see this humanity in everyone, to see that, oh my God, I went to Uzbekistan, they're so cool there. Oh my God, I went to this country and the locals were amazing, it treated me well. You know, or even in your own country. Oh, I heard so many bad things about Florida, but I came here and everyone's like really nice. So yeah, people are good. I do think the world is going into a better place, especially when we start the change here. So if you start a positive change in your body, well, guess what? You're the microcosm. So it's going to ripple outward. And that's the only way we're going to see the outer world change. Do not wait for the world to get better. You just have to make it better. And you start by doing that in your own life. So what types of habits are you doing that are destructive? Stop doing them. You know, you have to identify them and you have to replace them with healthy ones. So you have to gather all this information. You have to figure it out for yourself. It's hard work, guys, but it's worth it. This is the great work. This is the work to humanity. If you can serve yourself, this is not selfish because it's not at the expense of anyone else. This is uplifting everyone. If you can uplift yourself, if you can get in a healthier spot, if you can stop lying, stop harming, if you can stop sabotaging your body, then guess what? We're going to stop doing that outwardly too. And that's where the change is going to come. We have to start planting fruit trees. We have to start eating more fruit. We have to stop buying the things that lead to destruction and exploitation. And that's my opinion, man. I think it starts from within, but let's just say we're in a dark ages. You've heard of the Kali Yuga, like the different Yuga cycles in Vedic traditions. It's like, you know, ancient Hindu texts. They talk about the Yuga cycles. It's these cycles of dark ages and golden ages, and we may very well be in a dark ages right now. So cosmically speaking, you know, the energies may just be in line to be giving us, you know, the UN and war and bombs and
insanity, violence.
Insanity, violence, psychopathy, polluted water, all this stuff. No care for the environment. But like I said, it's changing, man. The tide's changing. If it takes 12,000 years or one day, it almost doesn't matter. We're still going that direction, and especially when you embody that in your own life. So just try it, man. Don't believe when people say that life is suffering, life's terrible, that morals are relative, that you just have to live to feel pleasure in life. That's not it.
That's a trap.
That's a trap. We should live to feel exalted. We should live to be healthy. We should live to have the most fun possible in sustainable, healthy ways, and live in harmony with nature. If we just come back into nature, just get your toes on the ground, just start eating these foods that grow on trees. The factory farms are all going to die off. War is going to be obsolete. And that's where we're heading, man.
Wow. Powerful information with Seth Bailin, SethBailin.com, author of the Fruit Companion book and host of Radical Health podcast. You can also hear Seth Bailin speak at Texas Fruit Festival, TexasFruitFestival.com. I'm very honored to call Seth a friend and very excited to see you at Texas Fruit Festival. And thank you so much for sharing this information with us.
Thanks, Dave, for having me on, and thanks for everybody for listening.
For more information, please follow at Rapid Regeneration or visit rapidregeneration.com.